Coming up tonight on YCN News, a Sunapee man charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder will remain in jail through mid-January. Congresswoman Ann McLean Custer is co-sponsoring a bill in the U.S. House to reward hunters. And Woodstock Union High School holds a benefit concert tonight featuring 4 local songwriters. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Friday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. A Sunapee man now charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder will remain in jail until at least mid-January. 53-year-old Robert Dellinger was arraigned on the upgraded charges this morning in Lebanon District Court. Lebanon District Court Judge Lawrence McLeod presided over the brief hearing this morning. Dellinger appeared in court via video conferencing from Grafton County House of Correction. He did not comment during the hearing. Dellinger's attorney, Peter Decato, waived a hearing of the upgraded charges. The greater charges will be heard in Superior Court and not in the District Court. And because the charges carry more legal weight, the District Court cannot act on a bail request. The next court date for Dellinger is set for January 14th in Lebanon. The outcome of this probable cause hearing will determine if the charges facing Dellinger warrant Superior Court action. Last week, state prosecutors charged Dellinger with second-degree murder in the December 8 deaths of a Vermont couple. Originally, the former business executive was charged by police with 2 counts of manslaughter. 29-year-old Jason Timmons and 24-year-old Amanda Murphy were crushed in the December 8th crash. Their unborn daughter also died in the crash. Prosecutors say Dellinger deliberately drove his vehicle from the southbound lane of I-89 to its northbound lane in a suicide attempt. After Dellinger's arraignment on the manslaughter charges, bail was set. Dellinger met the $250,000 bail. After his medical release from a local hospital last week, police arrested Dellinger on the 2 murder charges. He was returned to jail, where he now remains pending further hearings. After today's hearing, attorney Decato told YCN News that he believes Dellinger should be released on bail. The conditions set by the court for the first bail hearing were met by his client, Decato said. Decato said Dellinger's family is in touch with the defendant. The jail has been cooperative in allowing Dellinger access to physical and medical needs, said Decato. 2013 was a banner season for New Hampshire deer hunters. Fish and Game officials say hunters tagged 12,387 deer, a 7% increase from the 2012 hunting season. More deer were caught in Sullivan and Grafton counties this year than last year, records show. By contrast, deer kills in Merrimack County were significantly lower than the 2012 season. Deer hunting season ended on December 15th. In a related story, Congresswoman Ann McLean Custer is co-sponsoring a bill in the U.S. House to reward hunters. Custer and Republican colleague Don Young of Alaska seek support of a bill that would make hunters who donate game to food charities eligible for a tax deduction. The deduction would cover the costs of preparing the meat for food pantries. The bill as proposed would help meat processors who prepare the game for human consumption, and it would protect against spoiled meat from being accepted for charitable purposes. Fish and Game Department spokeswoman Jane Vachon says hunters regularly donate their catch to the state's food pantries. Venison or deer meat is an important source of protein. After the break, we'll hear about the benefit concert at Woodstock Union High School and multiple weather-related traffic accidents caused by snow and ice.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. A benefit concert tonight at Woodstock Union High School will feature 4 local songwriters. The concert will benefit Zach's Place, a community enrichment center in Woodstock. Come hear Brian Freites, Tad Davis, Jack Snyder, and Troy Ramey sing and play original songs tonight. The concert begins at 7 p.m. and ends at 9 p.m. Admission is $10. Ongoing snowfall and icy roads combined with weather-related traffic accidents plagued drivers, police, and tow truck firms the last 2 days. From Vermont to New Hampshire, the slickness of the roads offered little relief to motorists, especially motorists whom police cited for driving too fast or recklessly. At 11 a.m. Thursday morning, Vermont police charged a 42-year-old Wellesley, Massachusetts man with making an unsafe left turn. Murat Alanzanoff turned his 2010 Subaru Forester into a 2007 Honda Accord driven by 25-year-old Mallory Kelton. The accident happened in Westminster, Vermont, near Route 5 and 123. Both motorists were wearing seatbelts at the time of the crash, say police. Both their cars suffered moderate front-end damage. Kelton was taken to Springfield Hospital in Springfield, Vermont, for unknown injuries. Both cars were towed away. Alam Zanoff was issued a ticket for turning left while unsafe to do so. And on Christmas Day, 2 drivers allegedly fell asleep while driving in the same car. Around 7:30 p.m., a couple driving north on I-91 near Wethersfield crashed the car into the median. The woman in the car, whom police did not name, said she was driving the car and fell asleep at the wheel. Witness statements about the crash differed. The man in the car, 59-year-old William Boyle of Northampton, Massachusetts, admitted to police that he drove the car because his girlfriend was tired. He took over until he fell asleep as well. During its investigation, Vermont State Police learned Boyle was not supposed to be driving due to a suspended license. Following my interview with John O'Connor on his top stories for the year, let's hear from YCN's Lisa Connell on what her top stories were. It's almost 2014, so I'm sitting down with our news director, Lisa Connell, to hear what her top picks are for the stories that we've seen this year.
Hi, Rose.
Hi, Lisa.
My first top story pick is the possibility of casino gambling coming to New Hampshire. A year ago, it passed in the Senate, but the House voted it down, and with the state's need for revenue, because they always rely on property taxes, Governor Maggie Hassan has brought this issue up again. A panel is studying the issue to see if casino gambling should become the law in New Hampshire, and a panel is underway to make sure that if it does, that things will be run correctly and no one will fall through the cracks as far as the people and programs that this is intended to serve. It would most likely fund road programs, or they would just bring a lot of money into the state. That's what people in New Hampshire that feel casino gambling is a good thing believe. The other matter involved with this is that New Hampshire officials are looking at Massachusetts, who are poised, or they were, to bring 3 casino gamblings throughout the state, plus 1 slots gambling, a quicker type of gambling program or plan. But Massachusetts is not performing as they thought. People in towns and cities where proposals had been put forth before voters are voting this down. So New Hampshire may have still a shot at bringing gambling into the state, because if in the southern part of the state, if it was thought that New Hampshire needed to get on board with 1 casino to compete with Massachusetts, it could be that they won't have to worry about that, and it remains to be seen if in New England, if the new casino gambling parlor is going to be in New Hampshire rather than Massachusetts. So that's something definitely to keep an eye on. My second top pick story is the Affordable Care Act, or sometimes known as Obamacare. Probably the best way to describe it, though, in all fairness, is the nation's new medical health insurance program. New Hampshire chose to have the federal government design their exchange. That was one option, whereas Vermont chose to do it themselves.
Right.
There's been computer problems with both choices, both in Vermont and New Hampshire. But so far, Vermont is being described nationally as the little exchange that could.
Wow.
People are signing up. It's working better than in New Hampshire, even though the programming, as far as computer programming, was similar. But Vermont is moving ahead. In New Hampshire, were some of the legislators on board with this? Perhaps not. Perhaps that's why the state chose to have the federal government set up its exchange. And there is only one medical health insurance company, Anthem, or Blue Cross Blue Shield Anthem, that is accepting patients, people that sign up for health insurance under the state's health exchange. Two others from Massachusetts are scheduled to come on board in New Hampshire in 2015, Minuteman and Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. But at this time in New Hampshire, it leaves a lot of people out in the cold, so to speak. The hospitals that will accept patients with health insurance under the Affordable Care Act are in the larger cities. They're not in the smaller, more rural areas where people who don't have cars or access to public transportation can get to a place like Valley Regional Hospital in Claremont or Alice Peck Day in Lebanon. So how this is becoming a reality, it's still an ongoing story. December 23rd is the deadline to sign up for people that want health insurance in January 1st. A good thing, though, is that people can make that first payment January 10th. So it gives them a little bit more spending money for the holidays.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next 5 days, and he'll take a look at some local high school sports.
Thanks, Rose. Looks like we've got a snowy weekend ahead. Tomorrow we'll have highs in the upper 30s and lows around 23 degrees. Sunday we'll have a mixture of snow and rain with a high of 38 degrees and lows in the 20s. Monday we aren't expecting any snow, but we'll have a temperature drop with lows around 1 degree and highs in the 30s. Tuesday will drop down to a high of 15 degrees and lows will go down to 0. Wednesday, make sure to bundle up because we'll have highs around 12 degrees with lows in the negatives. If you're looking for some entertainment this weekend, head on over to the Eclipse Grange in Thetford, Vermont for Upper Loveland Puppets production of A Christmas Story from 7 to 8 p.m. this Saturday. Don't forget to watch our YCN Game of the Week. This week, it's the Lebanon versus Hanover girls basketball game. You can still catch it on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. on Comcast Channel 20 and 712 in high definition. Next week's Game of the Week is the Lebanon versus Hanover boys basketball game. You can see this game on the same channels, but the game will premiere on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Just a reminder that each Game of the Week will premiere Wednesdays at 7:30.
Thank you for joining us for this Friday edition of YCN News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And you can watch our programs anytime online at www.ycnnow.com. I'm Rose Spillman for YCN, your local view. Good night.